I'm Pastor Stuart, and in this video I am reviewing the New King James Version single column reference Bible in premium goatskin leather. And this particular Bible is part of Thomas Nelson's Premier Collection, and it certainly is a premium Bible. So in this review I'll be looking at its readability, its features, its build quality and its portability, and then giving my overall impression of this Bible. So let's start with the readability, and I must say that this is one of the most readable New King James Version Bibles that I have come across, and there are various reasons for that. Now, of course, the font itself is an important reason. It's 10.5 point type font, but that in and of itself doesn't really convey how readable it is, because there are other important factors contributing to its readability. You will notice also that there is very good line spacing. The space between the lines it really adds to the comfort of reading this Bible. The lines are not squashed together, which increases eye strain. This has good line spacing. Also, the paper itself is brilliant. It is opaque. It's 36 GSM, which really helps with the readability of this Bible. So I would definitely score the readability of this Bible 5 out of 5. It's worth noting that the words of Jesus are black in this Bible. They are not red. That's of no concern to me, because the whole Bible is inspired by the Holy Spirit. But if that's important to you, then you will want to be aware of that. So let's move on now and look at the features of this Bible. There are over 72,000 cross-references, and they appear on the side of each page. So that's a lot of cross-references, more than enough. Then there are also translator's notes, and I'm pleased to report that this Bible contains the full set of translator's notes. So for example, here in Psalm chapter 12 and verse 2, we see the number 1 in red, and that indicates that there is a translator's note in the side column for verse 2. And there we see the chapter and verse number again in red, and a note saying an inconsistent mind. So in other words, that note is telling us that a double heart could also be translated an inconsistent mind. It's explaining, basically. This is an explanatory note explaining what that means. And I'm pleased to report that this Bible has the full set of translator's notes. And so, for example, if we were to look at another New King James Version that I have here, which is also a reference Bible, in Psalm 12 and verse 2, when we get to a double heart, you'll notice that there is no letter indicating a translator's note, and that's because this particular New King James Version has a cut back version of the translator's notes. But the good news is that in this single column reference Bible, it has the full set of translator's notes. It's helpful that both the cross-references and the translator's notes are indicated by, the notes are indicated by a number, the cross-references are indicated by a letter, but they are both in red, which helps it to stick out. And it's also helpful that the chapter and verse number is in red in the side column, which makes it easier to find. Now, one thing that is unfortunate is the positioning of these references and notes. You'll notice that they start at the bottom of the page, and that is the case throughout this Bible. Now, what Thomas Nelson, what I think would have been good for them to have done would have been to follow the example of the Cambridge Clarion, which, like this, is a single column reference Bible. This is the Cambridge Clarion, and what they have done is they have positioned the references and notes very near to the verse, so that if you're reading verse 31 here in Proverbs 30, all you need to do when you see that number there indicating a note is move your eye across, and there you have the note. And the same for the cross references. And that's very convenient when you're reading it. However, with this one, you can't do that. You have to look down and then find where you were in the first place. Now, with poetry, such as you see before you here in Psalms, that's not that much of a problem, because with the Psalms, each verse starts on a new line. But when we move into prose, when we're talking about, for example, the Gospels or the epistles and so on, where verses do not begin on a new line, because the text format of this Bible is in what we call paragraph format, so you don't have each verse starting on a new line. And it can be problematic. You could be reading along and then you find a letter or a number, and then you have to search for it and then try and find your place again, because with paragraph format it is more difficult to find a verse. With verse by verse format, you always know what verse you are on, and it's very quick to find a verse. But with paragraph format like this, finding a verse is more difficult. And so when the cross references and notes are not positioned, very near the verse, and you have to go all the way down and come back up, it's just not as convenient as using the Cambridge Clarion. This is certainly much more readable than the Cambridge Clarion, a much more dark font. It's a lot more readable, but I do wish Thomas Nelson had followed Cambridge's example in the positioning of the references and translators' notes. Now, there are other features of this Bible. It has maps at the back. It also has, there are 7 maps in total. We have the world of the patriarchs. You have Exodus and conquest of Canaan, the land of the 12 tribes, Paul's missionary journeys, and Jerusalem in the time of Jesus. You also have a 1-year reading plan. There is a concordance as well. It's not an exhaustive concordance, but it's useful that it's there. The word God, for example, has 38 entries. So this is a good Bible in terms of features. In terms of how I would score the features, I guess I would give it 5 out of 5. I only wish they had followed Cambridge's example in the positioning of the references, but even so, there are a lot of cross-references there, the full set of translators' notes, and for that reason I give the features 5 out of 5. So now let's begin to look at the build quality of this Bible. Now, this is a premium Bible. It has goatskin leather, which is good. It feels nice and soft. It is edge-lined, and edge-lined refers to the way in which the cover is attached to the text block. And with edge-lined Bibles, you will find that there's no paste down liner, and this cover is very, very flexible, nice and soft. I've mentioned the paper already. It features art gilding, and so you notice that it's got this kind of pinkish colour, and when it's closed it's more of a gold, but when it's opened and you're looking down at it, you see this kind of red undergold, and that's a nice touch. I do prefer the colour, the art gilding in the Cambridge Clarion, and because these are both single column reference Bibles, it will be quite natural to compare this to the Clarion. And just so you know, I would say that the build quality of the Clarion is superior to this. The leather on the Clarion just feels, this is also a goatskin Bible, it's much nicer to hold. It's softer. I much prefer it to this leather here. This is still very good, but the build quality is just not as good as the Clarion. I'm also pleased to report that this is Smythe sewn binding. You don't have to worry about pages falling out of this. You'll notice that there are 3 ribbon markers. They are quite long, but they are nice ribbon markers, 2 black and 1 red. So this is very well built. One issue I had is that with the gilding on the pages, I was finding that the gold was rubbing off on my thumb. And as far as I'm concerned, that is not acceptable for a premium Bible. And I don't know if that's just the copy that I have of this Bible or if that's a more general problem, but I was not impressed with that. But overall, I would give the build quality of this Bible 4 out of 5. I would have given it 5 out of 5 were it not for that issue I had with the gold rubbing off on my thumb. So let's now consider the portability of this Bible. I will mention before I look at the portability that this has no problem staying open, as you can see. So from quite early on in the Bible you can lay this flat on a table. Having a bit of difficulty in the early part of Genesis, but as you get into it, it will lay flat on the table and stay open. So let's consider the portability of this Bible. This is not what I would call a portable Bible. It is about 6.7 inches wide and 9.8 inches tall, and the spine is 2 inches, about 2 inches, and so that makes it a very thick Bible. It's also on the heavier side. It's 3.3 pounds, and that does mean that this is not a great Bible for holding in your hand for long periods of time. It's absolutely fine if you are using this Bible on a desk, but if you are going to be holding it in your hand, then it's not a Bible I would recommend for that, but on a desk is absolutely fine. So I would rate the portability 2 out of 5. So what is my overall impression of this? I think this is very nice. I think the main great thing about this Bible is its readability. This is so easy and comfortable to read. The comfort print font that they use is very, very nice, and that's for me the best thing about this Bible. Its readability, which is aided by the font and the paper. Apart from that, to be honest with you, if something were to happen to this Bible, if I were to lose it, I probably would not get this particular edition again. I would save myself some money and get one of the non-premium editions of this Bible. I think because of its weight, I would be using this on a desk, and so I don't really need the comfort of the goatskin leather because I won't be holding it for long periods in my hand. And so there are much cheaper editions of this Bible in hardback, for example, or imitation leather, or even genuine leather that don't have the premium goatskin leather. But this is a very nice Bible. I think overall I would give it, if you're using it on a desk, I would give it 4 out of 5. If you're holding it in your hand, then my overall score would be 3 out of 5 for this Bible. Now, I've left the ISBN in the description of this video should you wish to look up this Bible or to purchase it. But thank you very much for watching this review. God bless you.